Welcome, everyone. Today is Wednesday, October 13th, and I am calling this meeting of the Academic Senate to order. I will now share the agenda. There we go. All right, so our Academic Senate community values were created by the Academic Senate. And I always like to highlight one. So just like last week when we were hearing faculty presentations, I'll share again that this week we'll focus on commit to working with an equity mindset and upholding the mission of the college to foster an equitable, inclusive, respectful, participatory, and supportive community dedicated to the success of every student. As senators, we should center equity in all matters brought before us and question who may benefit from our decisions and actions and who may be harmed. So going over our Zoom meeting guidelines, just ever so briefly for those that are new to the Senate. The only time non-senators may speak unless they are a presenter is during public comment that can come at the regular public comment period during item 3.1 or during any of our agenda items. Today, we only have one agenda item other than communications and information items, which is of course our public hearing. So I'll call for public comments at the beginning and then the public comments again before our faculty presentations. And that will be the only time that non-senators or presenters can contribute to the meeting. For senators or anyone else that would like to raise a question or contribute to a discussion, please raise your virtual hand in the participants field. Okay, so the approval of the agenda, no items will be taken out of order for today. So I will accept the approval of the agenda by acclamation as posted and distributed unless I hear otherwise now. Okay, seeing no comments, all right. And which brings us to item 3.1. If there is anyone that would like to provide public comments now, can you please indicate your desire to do so by raising your virtual hand? Okay, I'm seeing no requests for public comments. So we will move on. We'll approve our meeting minutes for our next meeting, for our last meeting at our next meeting. Very briefly, my president's report. I just want to highlight a couple important things. Spring 2022 schedule is a very important topic. We have a special meeting of the Academic Senate scheduled tomorrow. As I've mentioned in my email, senators, if you cannot be present during the meeting, I ask that you definitely find a substitute from your division to represent your division in this very important meeting and discussion. Still waiting. I actually got the response about the replacement for faculty positions for 2 years only. I got the history. I will share that out in my next report, and that might be something that Senate wants to agendize and formalize some official policy around, so that the next time this question comes up, why do we only consider faculty positions as new for, or excuse me, as replacement for 2 years, we have it codified somewhere where people can go and look. The meeting with the ASCCC about our Senate subcommittee restructuring happened and was very fruitful. Here's the plan. I ask that senators especially take a look at this so that you understand what will be happening between at least me and the State Academic Senate, as well as the State Academic Senate and the Senate body for our planning and important conversations. And then also for anyone that is, I know it's on a Saturday, but is anyone willing and available and interested to attend, our Area C State Academic Senate meeting is happening this weekend. Area C is the area that we are in for the State Academic Senate, as it's broken up into different areas. And so Our area meeting is this weekend, and the agenda is there, and something that really important, one really important part of that meeting is going to be discussing the resolutions that are coming out of our area that are going to the State Academic Senate, the full Senate, for the fall plenary. So I think that that would be a really important meeting for people to attend, not only to meet colleagues from our local extended area, but also get some insight into what is being proposed at the state level in planning for the fall plenary. Okay, so with that, I don't want to give any further president's report at this time. The only thing I want to say is that Dr. Cornelia Alzheimer and myself have been meeting with a lot of department chairs over the last couple of days to get important insight and conversations around the spring schedule. And I'll talk a little bit more about that at tomorrow's special meeting. Senate liaisons. Do any of you want to give an oral report at this time? Anything you'd like to highlight? Ruth, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I included a somewhat extensive listing of some of the bills that Governor Newsom recently approved as of, I think it was October 6th. So if you'd go there to the report, you'd see the ones I highlighted listed there. You can also go to the legislative tracker. So if you're interested in looking at more, at all the bills basically that he approved, I tried to list the ones that pertain to the community college system, the California community college system. And in particular, I listed at up top the two that I think are especially important, which are AB 928, which is the Student Transfer Achievement Reform Act of 2021, which basically requires community colleges to place all students on an ADT pathway. The ASCCC, our state level academic senate, had requested that Governor Newsom veto that, and he did not. So he did approve it. So that's in effect essentially, I mean, you can, I'm not sure when, but soon, but he signed it. And then the other one would be AB 1111, which is post-secondary education common course numbering system. So I think as of 2024, on or before July 1st of 2024, we're going to have a uniform course numbering system across all California community college systems.
Thanks for that, Ruth. Any other oral liaison reports, highlights from your written report? Oh, Ruth? Oh. Okay. So we'll move on to item 5.3, our executive vice president's report. It's my understanding. Yes, hold on, Ellery. It's my understanding that Kathy will share out some important numbers for everyone possibly. So if you, you might want to take some notes during her report. Dr. Scott, go ahead.
Thank you, Rayanne. Okay, I did want to provide you with the numbers we have as of today and just about an hour ago for our current survey of students about their preferences for spring of 2022. 39%, and that is 589 students, so they would prefer some classes on campus and some online. 29% are saying they would prefer their classes to be on campus. That's 445 students. Those who said all of my classes online, 29% at 434 students. And I do not have a preference, 4%, and that's 55 students. So that's where we are, and 1,523 students have responded thus far. The survey is still open if you haven't had a chance to encourage your students to take it. We really, really do appreciate their input. It's very helpful to us. I did want to, I know that you'll be having the special meeting about spring, but I did want to say that I'm appreciative of the department chairs who've been working to try to raise the numbers in areas where they really do need to be raised, to give our students sufficient offerings, either hybrid or on campus. And you're probably aware that an email went out to the department chairs saying that if areas are under 50% for hybrid and on campus, that we're asking that the overload be assigned on campus. And I do want to thank again the Academic Senate for its leadership here. It really is important that we schedule for the needs of our students, and I appreciate that the Senate has taken this on and it's going to be discussing it. And I appreciate that they're putting the needs of students first also. I did want to say that in the email with information about students' names who have not uploaded their cards, their vaccine cards, went out a few minutes ago. It was a pretty big lift for IT, and I want to thank them. I know that Dean is here today, but they did get that out. There's an email that I wrote explaining what to do with the information. But the most important reason we sent it out was so that we do not drop students that faculty don't want dropped, because we will be dropping students on October 23rd if we're not notified that the faculty do not want them dropped. Okay. I also wanted to talk just briefly about Cleared 4, which at some point, I don't know exactly when, but it will be replacing Healthy Roster. And Cleared 4 does a lot that Healthy Roster is not doing. It's got improvements for contact tracing, including us being able to see students' history of what other days they may have had reported a yes to any one of the questions. Students don't have to show their ID with a sticker. And right now, a lot of students are still coming to the tables and they have to show their vaccine card because they don't have their ID, they don't have their sticker. Everything will be, it's like a one-stop shop on your phone. So everything will be on there, including the students' pictures, if we decide to put that on there. And students can also schedule a COVID test through this app. So it's going to be a big improvement over what we've got right now, and should make things easier for everybody, the students, the people at the tables. For the faculty, it'll be the same. It'll just be a wristband, but the process to get a wristband will be a lot easier for everyone. So those were the things I had to report. Thank you. Oh, sorry, one more thing. I had a tour today. This is the lighthearted thing, but I had a tour today. I got to go over to the Orfala Early Learning Center. That was really amazing. I had never been there. It was just shockingly beautiful. I got to see Otto. I know Russell's on the call here, and I got to see Russell and go through and see all the new equipment in Otto. I got to see all the new equipment that's been put into the culinary program. Also the renovations that have happened over at the healthcare centers, with all those rooms and the reorganization of things. I went to the diving program. It was all very exciting. And then finally I ate at the cafeteria, which was quite amazing, I have to say. I really enjoyed it. So anyways, thank you very much for this opportunity to give my report, and I can answer any questions if called upon. Thank you.
Any clarifying questions at this time? Okay, excellent, thanks. All right, so moving right along, there's no items in our consent agenda. A couple of important information items that I'm going to highlight, and then we'll get going on our presentations. We're going to have this item come back as a discussion item to Senate in a few weeks. I thought it was very important to put it in front of faculty sooner rather than later. It's the risk survey, which is the Revealing Institutional Strengths and Challenges that was conducted last spring. Please, everyone, take a careful review of what has been provided by this survey from our spring students, and share this out. And again, we're going to have a discussion item around this in a few weeks, and have a proper presentation from institutional research office. There's a couple important memos that came down from the chancellor's office that I think that need to be put in front of faculty. One of them is that anywhere, item 7.2, anywhere where there was a substantive change in your program. So for instance, if you have a program, a discipline, a department that has gone outside of the distance education addenda, the emergency addenda, that have gone substantially online, there is an approval process for that through ACCJC. And so please take a look at this memo. So if you are going to remain online, more substantially that you have previously, there is some new requirements around that. So please make sure you're reviewing that. There's also some information provided in 7.3 around our ethnic studies implementation. So please take a look at that as well, because I know there's some important work happening around our ethnic studies classes and the CSU requirements for ethnic studies for graduation. Our superintendent president put out a proclamation about declaring October Filipino American History Month for the college. So her proclamation is included there. And then lastly, this is a reminder, the exemplary program award call is out and is due by Friday, October 23rd. So please follow up with that if you know of a program to nominate. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to look, who do we have first? We have Patrick Foster and Mike Ganella from Construction Technology. They have not been made co-host. Gentlemen, do you want me to, oh, Christina, I think has to. Christina, if you're there, can you either make me host or can you make Patrick and Mike co-host, whichever is easiest on you? And gentlemen, are you going to share your slides or do you want me to share them and then I drive your slides? What do you prefer?
I can drive them.
Okay, awesome. And so you guys have a 8-minute time limit. And so I will impolitely interrupt you at the 6-minute mark to say you have 2 minutes left. And then just to let you know, and then I'll let you know when that 2 minutes is up. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, great. So get started when, yeah, when ready.
Okay, I'm Mike Ganella. I'm the interim chair of construction technology, and Patrick Foster is here too. He's the past chair for which we're trying to get a replacement position. I can see that not everything is visible here, but we have 100 declared majors in construction technology. 80% of those students are from our service area, and 65% of the students in construction technology are Hispanic or identify as other minority groups. So that's the category of students that we serve in CT, as we call construction technology. The program vitality pretty clearly is directly tied to the presence of a full-time instructor. Remember, this is one of a number of departments on campus that has only one full-time person. So we see from our little data that we looked at, the number of students and head counts went down after Patrick's retirement. And that does, there is a downward trend of City College overall in enrollments, but this is more than that. And it happened in horticulture too, and my position was vacant. It's really important to have a program chair and leadership that keeps the recruitment and retention and completion going, especially in these small departments with these underrepresented groups that really need a lot of personal attention. Largely minority students really respond well in these CTE programs to these instructor-student relationships. And those can happen with adjuncts, but the adjuncts come and go. So without a full-time instructor, a lot of CT students that are already struggling because they don't have a lot of representation in our greater society, and they have a harder time without a consistent mentorship in CT. A little picture of the lab at the Wake Center for Construction Technology. The vitality of that program is directly linked to the success of disproportionately impacted student groups. So kind of repeating what I said in the last slide, but just showing you a little bit more about that. CT really does reach out to that group, and it's important. It also increases student success, mainly the Hispanic group that we're seeing here that takes, that's a big part of this program. Patrick Foster, when he was the chair, he developed these dual enrollment courses at the 3 local high schools, serving specifically bilingual or Hispanic students that speak Spanish. And there's a great program, and just those kind of programs can't happen when you have only adjuncts in a department like there is right now. So it's really key to reaching this community, which is the major source of construction workers in our region as well. So it goes both ways. And that program was also developed through Patrick and Jose Martinez. So there's a lack of, the faculty has a big impact on student success. Backing up a little bit off of that point, there is a big demand still for skilled contractors in the region. It's even higher post-COVID. And the closest other construction program is at Cuesta College. It's just too far for most of our students to drive, and especially ones that don't have the means to do so. The primary workforce of construction workers in our region is Hispanic, and SBCC's program is one of the only ones that can help that student group out. They've already been historically negatively impacted by our cultural racism and classism and other demographic biases. So it's really important to support them here on campus, a place they can have that avenue towards that career. And as I keep hitting this point home, the lack of a CT chair weakens that program and leaves a lot of those students kind of just out there hanging and lost. So also another point, the lack of the full-time faculty in CT limits course offerings and delays completions and getting some of those lower income and underrepresented students out into a job. So it really isn't critical for this student group. Also, as I mentioned, we have right now 100% adjuncts, 3, and they're all near retirement, 0% full-timers. So again, it's a single full-timer department, and it has a big impact when that person is not there. A survey with the current CT adjuncts kind of reaffirmed what we already know, is that the success of the students relies heavily on the relationships they form with the instructors, and there needs to be a consistent presence of at least one instructor teaching multiple courses to really get those relationships going, introducing those students to the professional people that they know, and getting them out there and getting them jobs too. So that's that point. It's very difficult to find adjuncts, probably in CTE as a whole, but definitely in construction. Construction workers can make a lot of money, so a lot of them don't go to school. So if they are really good at what they do, they don't want to teach because they're making a lot more money. And if they do want to teach, they don't often meet the MQs. So it's really challenging. And our current adjuncts are all near retirement and will be gone from SBCC in just a few years. So it's a critical time to really support this very important program, in our opinion. The size of the CT it's a smaller program, and we believe it's right sized for the discipline. A lot of the caps of the courses, approved by CAC, there are 14 to 16 students, and the classes, almost all of them do fill to 100% of those approved caps. These are a lot of large, dangerous power tools, so it's really important to have those smaller ratios, and then that also really helps build the relationships too. So I guess the point of this is also that you can't really compare a non-CTE department or classes to CTE like construction, to think that this is too small of a department. It is actually perfectly sized and robust for what it does and who it serves.
Mike, just 2 minutes.
Thank you. And just to finish up, there's some pictures here. The left 2 pictures show a class working with Habitat for Humanity, and on the bottom with solar grid alternatives. That's for like kind of low income solar program. And in these 2, these are places where students work with those companies and often get hired directly into those companies from their work. So these are some community projects that CT has done, including setting up the stage for Fiesta, which, as we know, supports our Hispanic community. So these are great community outreach projects. Excuse me. A couple more pictures. Campus projects. We got interdisciplinary. The CT has worked with a bunch of different departments on campus to do things, remodeling the horticulture shed, making arbor outside the math lab, and students here shown in the solar lab too. And all of these are really important ways for students to get out there in the field and work with the dominant culture that still kind of oversees who gets hired and things, so they know how to work with that. And the students are a very diverse group, as you can see, and it's really important for us to keep that going, keep that support there for them. Patrick, anything?
Yeah, I just want to add a couple things. We've got students employed all over the town and outside the city also. Many of them work at Home Depot and Hayward Lumber. Many of them started their own businesses in electrical work and painting and different trades. So we have a great success there. And the last thing, just a personal note, I retired 3 years ago, but because we hadn't been able to replace full-time for these past 3 years, I've been staying as an adjunct to help Mike keep the program going. And so I doubt the future of the program without a full-time instructor. So I'm really concerned about this. I've delayed my retirement for 3 years. I can't delay it any longer. I'm getting too old. I want to try some other things. So I'm retiring completely in summer. So this is a really good time for supporting this program.
That's time. Thanks.
Yeah, that's time. Thank you so much to both of you. Now, what we do for questions is we have a shared Google document that senators have access to. And if they have follow-up questions for you, and they might, they put it in the shared document, and then I will tag you in the document so that you know to go in and answer it so that everybody can review it. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much, guys. It was good to see you today.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Hi, Margarita.
Okay, so everyone, our next presentation is actually a pre-recorded presentation from Associate's Degree Nursing. So I will share my screen at this time so that we can watch it together. Okay, here we go.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Orr, and I am
Great, we can't hear.
present. And for those of you who have been on Senate in the past few,
You can't hear it?
No, I think you have to reshare and click share computer sound so you can mute yourself.
I'll just mute my video. Elroy might announce something, but I think that'll be all right. How's this?
If you stop sharing and you just reshare, there's a little checkbox you can click to share your sound, and then you can mute yourself.
Share sound. Got it. Okay.
Hey.
No, it's my computer.
it's perfect though. You did a great job. Really great.
It's my computer permissions again, the same thing that was happening in steering late earlier. So we'll just do
good
this.
afternoon. My name is Sarah Orr, and I am a faculty member and the Assistant Director of the Associate Degree in Nursing program here at SBCC. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present. And for those of you who have been on Senate in the past few years, I apologize for you having to sit through yet another one of my presentations. But our situation is even more dire than in the past. The Associate's Degree in Nursing program is requesting 3 full-time nursing faculty replacement positions. We filled 1 full-time faculty position last hiring cycle, and unfortunately, this faculty member has already given their intent to resign in spring of 2022. Over the past 6 years, the ADN program has gone from 11 full-time faculty down to 8 full-time faculty, and we have not been supporting the students in a manner that is required by the Board of Registered Nursing or our other accrediting agency. Of the 8 faculty, 3 are not tenured, and 1 has been on a leave of absence for over a year. We are currently without staff in the Allied Health Nursing Lab. Both Allied Health Nursing Lab staff retired without notice over the summer. The lab is where our students practice and demonstrate skills essential to safe nursing practice, as well as providing remediation to students who may be in need of that. The lab staff used to spend 80 hours a week ordering supplies, setting up simulations, maintaining the lab and equipment, and also assisting the full-time instructors. Due to this lack of support, our full-time faculty have taken over this staff role as well. As you can see, the past 2 years have been plagued with turnover without proper replacement. The Sbcc Adn program is a unique CTE program, which is regulated by a government agency. Our regulating agency is the California Board of Registered Nursing. They govern and regulate our program under a strict set of regulations. We also are nationally accredited by another agency, the ACEN, Accreditation Commission for Education in Nursing, which we must meet very specific standards in order to be accredited with them. Our major clinical site, Cottage Health System, requires that we have this national accreditation. The BRN and ACEN also have regulations which require that theory instruction cannot be under the direct supervision of adjunct, leaving the ultimate responsibility with full-time faculty. This semester and in past semesters, we have adjunct teaching theory showing how short full-time faculty we are, which ultimately increases the workload of full-time faculty, as we must oversee the adjunct instruction. If this practice continues, we may be found not in compliance with the BRN and ACEN regulations, and we could lose our accreditations. If this occurs, we run the risk of not having a nursing program at all. At our last accreditation with the BRN, one of the biggest points that the regulators made was that the number of full-time faculty that we have teaching in the ADN program is not sufficient to support our program and meet our student needs. The visitors voiced serious concerns regarding the amount of workload faculty members are doing, teaching an amount of time needed to devote to approval, a prep, stating that faculty cannot devote the time and energy needed to ensure positive student outcomes. Their other major concern was the lack of release time for the director of the program and the assistant director. We were informed by the BRN regulator that most other nursing program directors receive 100% release time to oversee their programs and prepare for these approvals and accreditations, or else they have a nursing dean who are responsible for the work that Michelle and I do as director and assistant director. Currently, our director, Michelle, is overseeing the program and courses. Basically, she is doing the work of 2 jobs, nursing director and chair of the program. I am the assistant director and I teach 4 courses. Additionally, Michelle and I are responsible for orientation of our adjunct faculty, increasing our workload significantly due to the high-risk nature of the duties our students carry out, all of which isn't reflected in our TLUs. We are also responsible for overseeing the mentorship of 3 non-tenured faculty, one of which who just began this semester. Not only are we mentoring her as new faculty, we are attempting to navigate the choppy waters of teaching her how to teach in times of distance ed. The workload does not solely fall upon Michelle and I, however. Each of our faculty members have a full course load, attend department and college committee meetings, and now make up for the 80 hours of missing lab staff work. Due to our lack of faculty, there are duties that must be completed between these accreditation visits that we just cannot complete at this time. Since we are not currently keeping up with this workload, I fear that we may not be found in compliance with BRN and ACEN regulations and standards and could lose our accreditation in the near future. ACEN holds strict faculty to student ratio requirements for accreditation in order to achieve high student outcomes. ACEN strongly suggests that our clinical ratio be no more than 8 students to 1 faculty clinical instructor. Our students perform almost all the tasks that a licensed RN does, including injections, sterile procedures, and administering continuous intravenous medications that go directly to the patient's heart, just to name a few. Therefore, to oversee all these procedures and to ultimately ensure patient safety, the licensed clinical instructor must have a small group of students. An error in any of these procedures could ultimately be deadly. Likewise, with COVID distancing precautions, our clinical sites are limiting the number of students on each floor with their instructors, so we must have even smaller groups with more instructors, which we just do not have in the hospital setting. In fact, we have had to cancel and reschedule some of our clinical shifts due to lack of faculty, which has a direct impact, negative impact on student success. Our program productivity numbers are not as high as other programs in the college, and honestly, they cannot and will not be. The other reason for our numbers being skewed is that we have several support classes where only 5 or less students are enrolled, but the number of total seats are available if needed. If we look at our 9 core nursing classes where every student must enroll, the average class size and fill rate is much higher, almost always close to 100%. Our students do help the productivity of other courses in the college as well. They are required to complete English, anatomy, and physiology and microbiome before entering the ADN program. And a majority of our students do these prereqs at Sbcc, filling other program seats. Also, in order to meet the requirements of an associate's degree, our students take additional course units at Sbcc. Fun fact, did you know that nursing is the #1 declared major here at Sbcc? As shown here with a screenshot from Tableau, our success rate is currently high, and we want to keep it that way. Please also note the success rate of our diverse student population. We need to keep our faculty numbers at a level to ensure that this success continues. Our program aligns with and supports the Sbcc Student Equity Plan. The ADN program provides equity in many ways. The number of underserved students who graduate and pass NCLEX is high. Filling this position will help us to meet the goals of the SEP and the VSSGA. Increasing the faculty to student ratio will allow for individualized contact and support of these student populations. In the past, our program has been able to do significant community outreach to underrepresented students. Unfortunately, we currently do not have the faculty to continue this and widely implement our plans. Luckily, we have still been able to do a bit of outreach by presenting specifically at EPOS CARES and the San Marcos Health Academy. With EOPS and CARES, we are able to provide outreach and guidance to foster students and first-generation students to attend college. Men are an underserved population in the nursing profession as well. And the percentage of male students has increased significantly in the past years, where 23% of our starting student cohort are men this semester. Our percentage of non-white students has increased from 13% in past years up to 47% of this starting cohort. And when we have this diverse population, as you see, our success rate is very high. Our retention rates are also near 100% over the 4-semester program. Our students complete prereqs in math and English. Our students graduate with a degree, and many continue to a bachelor's and even master's degree in nursing. In fact, several of our adjunct faculty are Sbcc alumni who did continue to higher degrees. Not only do our students graduate with a degree, they sit for the nursing boards and have a career. And the average entry-level salary for nurses are $75,000. We need the full-time faculty support to ensure that we are reaching these students well into the future. The Sbcc Adn Mission aligns with the Sbcc mission statement that we provide our students with a diverse learning environment and opportunities for our students to enrich their lives and advance their careers. In the recent past, our program received the Strong Workforce Gold Star, showing how becoming an RN positively impacts the graduates' futures. Unfortunately, we do not currently have the sufficient resources to ensure the future success for these students and for us to meet the goals of the vision for student success. I believe that our program directly serves the community of Santa Barbara and the surrounding area more than any other program in the school. Some in this room may have even had one of our nursing students care for you or a loved one during their clinical shifts or after they have graduated. The majority of our students are planning to stay and work in the Santa Barbara area. Our students are goodwill ambassadors to Santa Barbara. Every fall, our students participate in multiple flu clinics, ensuring the most at-risk community members are vaccinated against flu, which is especially important in the time of a pandemic. As you can see in this photo, our students are even doing this now. They have administered hundreds, if not thousands, of flu and COVID shots already. They are also on the front lines doing COVID testing and screening. And once we are able to get back into the community more, they will be doing more outreach to our underserved populations in the county. Our Men in Nursing and Student Nurse Association coordinate blood drives. They volunteer at food banks, the Salvation Army, Meals on Wheels, American Heart Association, many events providing education to the community. The positive effects our students have in our community are endless. I am so proud to teach in this program and to be a nurse. As you probably know, the ADN program is one of the CTE programs that was given a special waiver to have limited access on campus since fall of 2020. This is because we train essential workers. Cottage Hospital is hiring more new grad RNs than they have in past recent years. 42 new grads just this half year alone. This is because of the need for RNs to treat not only the influx of COVID patients, but also to replace the retiring nurses and to take the stress off of the RNs who have had to take leave of absences due to the traumatic experiences coping with COVID, making it even harder for us to hire adjunct. There is a dire projection for a severe nursing shortage occurring from now until at least 2026. Therefore, it is absolutely necessary that we have the faculty to train these essential workers at the highest level possible. These are you and your loved ones we are teaching them to care for. In order to ensure we are serving our students and community to our fullest ability, we must have the faculty numbers to sustain and support our student learning. You may help us do this by granting faculty positions to the ADN program. I leave you with a short clip of why I became a nurse and why I'm so passionate about creating the next generation of nurses. I look forward to seeing how this video will be edited in the future to describe the impact of nursing during this latest pandemic. Thank you so much.
During the Crimean War, more soldiers died from infection than in battle, until a nurse introduced sanitary practices still in use today. In the 1950s, jaundice was a leading cause of infant death, until a nurse found that a few hours of sunlight could actually cure the condition. At the dawn of the AIDS epidemic, no one knew how the disease spread, so patients were kept quarantined and alone, until nurses defied convention and embraced them with compassion. And cerebral palsy robbed many patients of their ability to speak, until a nurse gave them back their voices. And I will always be grateful to her.
All right, so that concludes the ADN presentation. And we will now move on to our theater arts presentation. So I see that we have Patricia Frank and Katie Laris here. Katie and Pat, are you going to quote drive your own slides? Or do you need me to drive them?
We're going to try, but I'm the one that's driving the slides, and I may have internet issues. So we'll start. Hopefully we won't have technical difficulty.
Yep.
And if not, then you may have to take over.
Sounds good. So you all are asking for one position. So that means you get a total of 8 minutes. I'm going to interrupt you at around 6 minutes to let you know you have 2 minutes left. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Feel free to get started when ready.
Okay, 1 moment here.
So
Rebecca.
that group of slides featured, of course, a number of our students. And here is a faculty position that we are hoping to replace. And Pat's slide may have stopped. Here we go. So we've had 4 full-time faculty members for decades. Each faculty member has specialized roles that address different areas. They are in the areas of acting, directing, development of drama, scenic and lighting design, costume and makeup design. We all do different ones. And every one of us brings real world experience to their work with students.
Katie Laris worked as a television producer and writer in New York City for 15 years and assisted on Broadway and regional theaters. Pamela Shaw was the assistant costume designer for the Academy Award-winning movie The Artist and worked in film and television industry for many years.
And Pat Frank has designed in the local professional venues, lighting Hillary Clinton, Melissa Etheridge, and Olivia Newton-John when they appeared locally. The TA faculty's other job. Every full-time faculty not only teaches classes, but we manage a ton of administrative work. We all run a theater company, the theater group at Sbcc, that completely produces 5 professionally mounted shows a year and a 1-act play festival. This year, we're celebrating our 75th anniversary of producing community theater. Through the productions, we bring in more than 13,000 community members to campus every year. Part of our work is also interacting with potential donors and the press. We generate numerous positive press articles and reviews for the college.
Faculty workload. In order to produce 5 productions and a 1-act festival, we typically work 6 or 7 days a week, starting early in the morning and working until after 10 p.m. for each faculty member involved. Beyond the time spent rehearsing, we invest countless hours of scheduling, budgeting, press communications, and other organizational tasks. That schedule is our schedule for 10 months a year. Along with our courses, we work alongside our students in both acting and technology. This dedication pays off. We have a high transfer rate and many of our students go directly into the workforce in various positions ranging from Broadway to television to film, like the student from earlier in this presentation, Tobias Runquist, to Google. He told us he was hired specifically because of his theater degree.
What theater does best. We create community. More and more evidence, we all know, has emerged during this time of COVID that demonstrates the essential need for human interaction to our students' mental and emotional health. Over the past year, because of the demands of COVID, we adapted our program entirely to safely and successfully produce theater productions that we filmed in the Garvin Theater and provided for digital access. This required teaching our actors and crew members a completely different medium. We have been safely working face-to-face since August of 2020.
Our students become part of our family and they thrive in that intentional community. Before the recent downturn in out of area and international students, our program attracted students from all over the world who had heard about this theater department and wanted to be part of it. We're hoping and believe that when we emerge from the pandemic, we will be able to restore that enrollment.
There's about 2 minutes left.
Thank you. Final considerations. This position is for an acting teacher and director. Without this position, our students will miss the opportunity to study and experience critical aspects of acting technique and production. Because of the intense workload, both in teaching and production, this position is essential for our department and needs to be full-time, and in part because in Santa Barbara, there are not qualified teachers that can fill this role.
Our objective is to hire a faculty member that will further our goal for increased equity, diversity, and inclusiveness.
We believe that theater is a vital and creative part of our college and the community, and that replacing our retiring faculty member is essential to fulfilling our mission. Thank you so much for considering this request. We know there are so many worthy departments. Thank you for taking time to consider our request. And please consider coming to our show, which opens tonight in the Garvin. Every faculty and staff gets a free ticket, 7:30. It's called Ripcord. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. There's just about 20 seconds left, so we won't have time for any questions for you, but I don't know if you heard earlier, we have a shared Google document with our senators where senators can post their questions. And then as questions come in, I will tag the both of you so that you can respond back so that everybody benefits from seeing your answer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming today. Okay, let me check out the schedule. Next, we have Mike Young from Physics and Engineering. So Mike, I assume you'll drive your own slides and I'll give you a 2-minute warning. You have 8 minutes. Mike, I don't think we can hear you. Are other people having that problem?
Yes.
Yes.
Mike, can you try again, maybe? No.
We can't hear you, no.
Ray, should I unblock the chats to see if you can?
Yeah, unblock the chat, Chris, thanks. And maybe we can check in with Mike really quick. Can I restart my computer? Yeah, yes, I am worried about time. Let me look very quickly. Biological sciences. I know Michelle is here and it's at 3:58, which is her published time anyways. So Mike, why don't, I'm happy to go. Yeah, and Michelle's saying she's happy to go before him. So why don't we switch gears over? Yep, so go ahead and restart, Mike, and see where things are at. Michelle, thanks for joining us. So actually, biological sciences is requesting 2 positions. So Michelle, you will have a total of 12 minutes. I will set a timer to interrupt you at with a 2-minute warning, and then at the end. Does that sound good?
Hey. Hopefully you can see my screen well. Thank you all so much for considering this request. I know that you have a very difficult task ahead of you, as the need for full-time faculty is great in many programs across campus. We requested a replacement for a BMS position in 2019. We were ranked highly by the Senate, but unfortunately had a failed search that year. In 2020, we requested that position again. We were ranked just below the threshold and were denied our request. Our department is growing and is impacted, and it's imperative that we fill these positions. We have, our department is a very large department with several sub-disciplines. We serve a large number of students with over 900 FTES served by our department, second only to the math department. We currently have 12 full-time faculty in various sub-disciplines, and 4 of those are in biomedical sciences, which is the most specialized of our sub-disciplines. And few members in our department have the background in anatomy, physiology, and microbiology needed to teach in these positions. Dr. Heather Rose retired from our department in summer of 2019. And since then, our faculty have stepped up in immense and unsustainable ways to try to meet the high demand for anatomy, physiology, and microbiology classes. In fall of 2019, to avoid canceling sections, 3 full-time faculty alone had a combined TLU of over 80. After our failed search in 2020, we had to drop a section due to lack of faculty, but our 3 remaining faculty are still teaching over 75 TLUs, enough of a load for 4 full-time faculty to have 19 TLUs each. In fall 21, after being denied a replacement for Dr. Rose, we served even more students to meet that demand, only because we were able to do so in a fully online environment. We have also begun to increase sections to meet previously unmet demand for biology majors. All of this stepping up is unsustainable, and as we are shifting back to face-to-face, we are going to need to pull back on our offerings if we are unable to fill new positions. I think I'd be good at changing slides by now. Students need BMS and biology majors courses. These courses are important for many, many other programs. I get to requirements for transfer that all students complete a life sciences course, and biology is the major supplier of life science courses. The nursing program, which you heard is a critical program on our campus, requires our BMS programs as prerequisites. And there are many other, the vocational nursing program, as well as medical imaging and HIT, medical coding, PE, and other health related careers. Note that the HIT department has requested us to create more classes for their program. So as those are growing, we need to serve more students. The biomedical sciences positions are very difficult to fill with qualified adjunct instructors. A master's is required, and that is rare among those with experience with cadavers in particular. For all of our A&P classes, extensive training is needed for lab techniques, specialized equipment and protocols, and experience with human cadavers is needed and critical. We are one of the few colleges that are providing cadaver experience. UCSB students come to us for that experience. People with expertise in these departments often find lucrative job opportunities in other areas when we cannot offer them full-time positions. You can see here, this is a screenshot of the Biomedical Sciences 108, which is human physiology. This is enrollment in the first week of school. You can see we were over enrolled by over 105%. We cannot enroll past that due to lab safety in all of our courses. And now we are having to offer fewer sections as we move back into the face-to-face environment. We had, from spring to 2018 to 21, we had 2 years of one less faculty, even though there was an increase in the number of degrees awarded in biomedical sciences. The demand from students is there, but the burden on faculty is immense. As you just heard from Sarah Orr, in the nursing program, there is a high need for medical professionals, and all of these medical professionals must go through our program. So even with this increased offerings, we've had to turn away students. We are also seeing this in medical microbiology. We had an adjunct who currently left, who was teaching full-time, and then now we have only one faculty member who is stepping up to accommodate all of those sections, teaching 7 over-enrolled sections in BMS 126 with almost 27 TLUs. This is obviously not sustainable. The only other professor in our department that is qualified to teach this class is currently teaching in the majors program. Hence, there is a strong need for not just the replacement of Dr. Rose, but somebody who can step in to fulfill both this medical microbiology and serve our majors program, because we are seeing increasing numbers of students, both in BMS and biological sciences majors. We've had increased sections offered to meet this demand. More faculty are trying to step up to serve our student needs, but we are still turning students away, and we cannot continue these overloads. You can see that the biology department has very high enrollment and efficiency. These data were downloaded from Tableau in September. You can see all of the full data for us in our proposal. You can see that our WHCF and FTEF for our department is one of the highest at SBCC. We have 21% of the total for FBCC. The biological sciences department is over 8% of the total WSCH as of fall of 2020. Our weekly student contact hours have remained high, even through budget decreases and reductions in enrollment campus-wide. Our full-time equivalent is very high, and you can see that even though the college FTES declined by over 32%, biology and BMS only saw a decline of 10%. So we are seeing sustained demand, and we have been meeting that demand with overloads that are unsustainable. We estimate that we could have enrolled many, many more students if we had had sections available to offer them. You can see that we're currently highlighted here, the overfill rate of all of our classes. The biological sciences department serves many part-time students, and these students need schedules that can accommodate their work lives in order to meet their ultimate career goals, many of which are in the health-related sciences, and as you can see, going into the nursing program. We also accommodate many of our Latinx and underserved students. Many of the equity initiatives are increasing the access to STEM fields for these students. We serve them. We need these courses to meet their goals and their lifetime goals. Student enrollment in all majors compared with those in liberal arts show this very strong enrollment within our department. So just to summarize all of this, there is a sustained high demand for both biomedical sciences and biology majors courses. We provide necessary support for a wide range of programs at SBCC. Our programs are highly efficient and serve a large number of students, especially students who are underserved traditionally. All of our current full-time faculty are heavily overextended with overload TLUs, non-teaching assignments, and STEM student success and equity initiatives. We are having a very hard time finding BMS adjuncts to fill these positions. The loss of Dr. Rose's position and the failure to fill a new position will undeniably result in a reduction in BMS and biology courses at a time when there is demand by students for further offerings. So I know that's a lot of data, but it is very imperative that we fill these positions, and I thank you all for taking time to listen to our proposal today.
Thank you, Michelle. There's actually 2 minutes left for the time. So is there anybody that has a question for Michelle at this time? And if not, that's okay.
I was just highlighting how efficient biological sciences are.
Okay. So I'm not seeing any questions. That being said, Michelle, we do have a shared Google document that senators have access to. And as any written questions come in, I'll tag you in it so that you can supply an answer for everyone. Sound good?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Mike.
I'm going to try. Can you hear me?
We can.
Oh, thank you. Oh, good.
All right, so just as before, I'll give you a 2-minute I'll interrupt and give you the 2-minute warning. Sound good?
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I'm terribly sorry, but anyways, let's hope it goes better here from. All right. All right, I'm going to try again here and get started. Let me introduce myself. I'm Mike Young. I'm the chair of the Physics and Engineering Department. And I thought it would be best to give you a little bit of understanding of our department, how it's run. First of all, here's our department, the Physics and Engineering. But we are divided into 3 faculty service areas: physics, engineering, and physical science. And what I want to focus our attention on is the engineering, the faculty service area of engineering. It's right there in the middle of the screen here, 1 full-time position. That's what we're requesting. So my argument goes something along like this, looking at your criteria that you guys sent to us. I'll start with the first, which is the vitality of the program. I will just point out that if we don't get this replacement, we will have no tenured faculty qualified to teach any engineering courses on campus. And so I guess we can't even teach overload if we wanted to. We're just not legally allowed to. And so I think this would result in us just having to terminate our engineering program. And we obviously don't want to do that. The difficulty of finding part-time, extremely difficult. You can imagine that the employment opportunities for people with an MS or a PhD in engineering is very high. And anybody who wants a job has a job. You couple that with the fact that there's such a demand for work that most of my engineer friends, they're all working 50 hours already, lots of overtime opportunity. And when you put time and a half on that, they look at me when I talk to them like, why would we go do something like that for less pay? And I totally get it. I can't blame them. They make good money and they're in need of continuing on their job. So it's very difficult. The third criteria I picked off of your sheet here was the percentage of part-time faculty. So with Nick's retirement, we are currently 0 full-time faculty in engineering, and that is a low number. And so I hope you agree. Not directly on your Senate list, but I think indirectly in everybody's mind is what we call efficiency. I'll just say, is there any fat to cut in our program? And I'm going to say no. The short time we have together, I couldn't explain all the fat cutting processes we go through every time we do a program review. But I will point out a very strong number, and that's our wish to FTES. In both physics and engineering, we are over 700. That's a strong number. It doesn't happen by accident. We've worked really hard. We've kept one eye on that. I only say that here to try to convince you that we've done all the fat cutting. This cut, if we don't hit it, is going to cut into muscle and bone. That's really the point of this. In fact, maybe I'll just look at the other eye, because we're also real careful that our success rates don't diminish. And so with one eye on cost effectiveness and the other on success, I'll just show real quickly our engineering program, the ethnic breakup groups, all in the 80s or higher, and much higher than the college. So we think we've got a good balance for what we're doing. We think that between our efficiencies and success rates, we've kind of balanced that. And this would be just one blow too much. That's really the argument. In fact, as long as I'm along this line of efficiency, let me point out a question I've often got in the past when I've come to the Senate about this. And this is, Banner can be misleading for the scientists. I'm going to do a screenshot here of what Banner or the schedule might look like if you looked at it. This would actually be mine, and it looks like I'm teaching 10 classes. And I assure you I am not. It also looks like over here on the side here that it looks like I'm got classes that have 15. I do not. This actually represents only 2 classes with 75 in each classroom. So we are being efficient. It just looks this way. And I don't have time to explain why Banner's that way, but I do know, say your AS president is, the chair of the chemistry department. And she'll explain why it looks that way, or you can put that in the final questions. That would be fine too. Getting back to the Senate criteria, I'll say program leadership was one of the criteria you have. And of course, now with the retirement, we have nobody in that position, no leadership on our engineering side of our 3 pieces of our department. Another criteria you put there was the clear ability to increase or generate FTESs. Every subfield of engineering is predicted to grow by 3 or 10% on the high side and 3% on the low side. And that translates to growth in students. And so I'm trying to use this as an opportunity to say, yes, this is a high growth area. I'll also add to this that because it's a high growth area, the 4-year schools are wondering if we can pick up more classes. So right now we teach 5 engineering courses before the students transfer. And I figured we could do 7 and they would really like that. So between growing the number of students and growing the number of classes, this is a high growth area with great potential.
Hey, Mike, 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Another criteria you had here is meet the department's ability to provide curriculum. I lost my, to provide curriculum, ... make contribution to racial and ethnic equity. And I'll point out that about half the students of colors who eventually go on to earn their bachelor's degree in engineering started in the community college. So this is a big pipeline for that population of students. And to see us lose it, I think is sad and a step backwards. And one more, the other criteria you had here is meet student demand to help increase our disproportionately impacted students. We have a wonderful program. We have many, many wonderful programs. Those high 80 success numbers that I was talking about earlier, we owe a lot of thanks to a lot of programs. I'll do a shout out to MESA and the STEM Transfer Center, but one of the strongest ones that's kind of low key is our MC program, our Excellence in Math, Science, and Engineering. And that's run internally. It's part of an NSF grant I got 25 years ago. I've been running it for 25 years, and it's really great. But because it's run internally, if our staff is diminished, sadly, that's probably the area that would get cut away. And this really is those to help protect, particularly students who this is their first time in college or the first generation in college, to kind of figure out how things operate. Well, anyways, that's my presentation. I want to thank you. I think we're doing the 3 E's really well: education, equity, and efficiency. But I also truly believe that we would take a big backward step here if this position isn't replaced. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mike. We only have about 20 seconds left on this presentation. So any questions that we have for you, Mike, as you mentioned, we'll put in the document and share it with you for a response.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for being patient with my sound.
Yeah, no worries. All righty. So now we're going to move on to Juan Casillas, who will be presenting for School of Modern Language. So Juan, perhaps you heard this, but I'll just say it again so that I know you heard it. I'll interrupt you when you have 2 minutes left. You guys are requesting 1 position, I believe. So you'll have 8 minutes total. Does that work?
Brian?
Yes.
Okay, I will do a brief introduction
Okay,
and
sure.
then Juan will take over.
Got it. That works. Just as long as he knows I'll interrupt him
Yes.
at the 6-minute mark.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I'm Laura Gardinali. I'm the chair of the School of Modern Languages. I'm just going to today give this presentation with my colleague, Juan Casillas, who's the Spanish program coordinator. I will just give you a brief introduction about our department, and then he will talk more about the position itself. So the School of Modern Languages is a very diverse department. We have 10 programs, 9 language programs, and 1 translation and interpretation program. In the last year, we lost 3 full-time faculty positions. We had 7, now we're down to 4, and that's the retirement of Ana Maria Igualt in 2013, Sonia Zuniga-Lomeli in 2017, and Dina Castillo last year. So now we're down to just 4 full-time positions, and we have 26 part-time faculty. Of those 4 positions, 1 faculty oversees the American Sign Language program, and he teaches in the American Sign Language program. I teach in the French and Italian, so teach 2 languages, and we have 2 faculty teaching Spanish. We cannot switch. We can, due to the nature of the languages, I can teach 2 languages, but the other faculty can only teach in that specific program. So that means that for the Spanish program, we have 2 full-time faculty teaching an average of 20 to 25 classes per semester, which is about 100 to 120 TLUs per semester. And you can see that the majority of the load is carried by adjunct instructors. Juan.
Okay. We're requesting a Spanish language instructor with specialty in heritage language learners. If granted the position, this instructor will do both, teach second language curriculum and the heritage language courses. Santa Barbara City College is an Hispanic serving institution, and the SOML is a unique position to better serve the student population. Our community has many Spanish heritage learners who, for academic, personal, or professional reasons, wants to improve and develop this valuable asset. whether they choose a career in health, law, business, or education, Spanish heritage learners are cognizant that they will have to use Spanish in a professional setting and want to prepare for it now. They also have the advantage of already speaking Spanish, and with the appropriate support and guidance will achieve higher levels of fluency in both written and spoken Spanish that the current second language curriculum struggles to facilitate. Our department's goal is to offer a Spanish heritage learners track to meet the students' needs. Having another full-time instructor will considerably enhance the possibility of developing, implementing, and maintaining this program. Unfortunately, all the retired faculty mentioned taught Spanish and were part of the Spanish program. Only 2 of the current full-time faculty teach Spanish, which has left a critical gap in serving Spanish heritage learners. If the replacement position is not filled, the ability to serve these students will continue to be deficient. And the latest census shows the same trend. Over the last decade, the 2020 census data reveals that Santa Barbara County's white population has increased by 9%, while the Hispanic or Latino population jumped by 15.9%. Hispanic or Latino make up 47%, while white count for 41.2% of the county's population. The curricular balance of our programs will continue to miss this important aspect of our mission, and I quote, to help students achieve their full potential and to improve their quality of life, end of quote. Spanish heritage learners will continue taking second language courses, which are not designed with them in mind. In addition to this, and from the perspective of improving our service to the community, there's a potential for developing and implementing a series of literacy courses, as well as other certificates of achievement for Spanish heritage learners that will be made possible by only full-time instructor specializing in this area, dedicated to bringing it to its full potential. And these are our numbers real quick. As you can tell, steady, and then it went up a little bit. And half of that is basically 2,000, serving 2,000 with only 2 full-time instructors. On 7 out of 20 academic terms, the SOML is above the wish for FTE trend line. Although it is significant, this comparison does not accurately represent the needs of the Spanish program or the position that we are requesting. A more precise approach and analysis would be to compare the SBCC and the Spanish program's productivity. The following chart illustrates that from 2016 to 2020, the Spanish program managed to serve more students per FTEF than the college's average. Let me reiterate that 8 years ago, the SOML had 5 full-time instructors teaching Spanish, and now it has 2 full-time instructors teaching Spanish. In other words, there was a 60% reduction of full-time Spanish instructors. Yeah, let me say that again. 60% reduction of full-time Spanish instructors. Nonetheless, the productivity of the Spanish program surpasses the Sbcc's load in 17 out of 20 terms, which represents 85% of the time. So this sort of represents, these years, 85%, we surpass, Sbcc's productivity. This position,
Hold on, it's Ray. Just 2-minute warning, okay?
This position is in alignment with Sbcc's equity plan, namely with students' access to college, retention, and completion. It will help create a just and inclusive, multiracial, multicultural, and multilingual student body and a society by promoting equal access to education and social economic opportunities, participating in major institutions, and embracing diversity as a strength. In conclusion, the following factors indicate that we need this position. SOML's enrollment has remained steady or has increased. The Spanish program surpassed Sbcc 85% of the time in productivity. This position will ensure that we design and offer a curriculum that aligns with Spanish heritage learners' needs. and it will create an inclusive student body and embrace diversity as a strength. Thank you for listening to our presentation. Please grant us this position to better serve our students. And with that, muchas gracias, thank you, obrigado, etc.
Thank you so much, Juan. We only have about 30 seconds left for your time slot. So we're going to do what we do for others, which is share out the Google form where we have the questions from senators, and then we can tag you in it as needed. And of course, Laura as well. So thanks again. Really appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
So next we have academic counseling. And as a matter of fact, I have a pre-recorded video to share. So I'm going to get that ready for you. So just bear with me.
Good afternoon, Senators. My name is Sarah Hartley, and I'm the new co-chair of the Academic Counseling Center. Thank you for your time and for tackling this tough work today. Our request today is for 2 positions, which are replacements for 2 counselors who took advantage of the 2 most recent SERP opportunities to retire, Oscar Zavala and Eric Flores. A little note on that, Oscar and Eric made up half of the full-time male counselors in the Academic Counseling Center. My intent with this proposal or presentation today is to prepare you or to share some additional data from what you had in the written proposal. In the Academic Counseling Center, we serve prospective students, new college students, new transfer students, and returning students, in addition to current students. We also serve former students who reach out to us with questions after they've transferred. Let's start with the new to college students we serve. While we realize that our student ratio at SBCC has dropped with current lower enrollments, we have actually seen a 14.4% increase in new to college students needing class planning, where counselors create student education plans with those students for their fall schedule. For fall of 2021, we served 3,227 students, which was over 400 more students than we had served the year before. Included in these numbers are local high school, international, veteran students, and students who will be part of our special programs at SBCC, such as EOPS, Umoja, DSPS, and athletics. For each student, a counselor creates an individualized education plan based on that student's specific academic goal. And now let's talk about transfers. So for fall of 2021, we had 443 new transfer students request evaluation of their services and a student education plan just for fall of 2021. These are very complex and time consuming and can take hours. The first 100 transfer students who requested appointments with us this season had a combined total of 148 transcripts they needed us to review so that we could help them in building their plan. These transcripts are from all over the country, or world actually, and this batch that I hand counted so that I could give you these numbers and some context, they came from schools like Yale and OSU. We had UCLA, and we even had transcripts from South Korea and the Netherlands. A quick note on both of these 2 student populations, both new students and new transfer students, that it's just to know that many of these students will meet with us to develop a plan and figure out what they will take at SBCC, but then ultimately decide for a variety of reasons not to enroll at SBCC. They have to apply to SBCC in order to meet with us, but as we all know, people's plans change. So now let's talk about our current students for a minute. So a few years ago, SBCC moved to a caseload system where all current students are assigned to a primary academic counselor who is part of the Students Network and Starfish. Currently, 91% of SBCC students are assigned to counselors who are located in the Academic Counseling Center. And 83.9% of those students are from our DI populations. With our current caseloads, we cannot provide a student education plan to all students. And since it is mathematically impossible to meet with every student individually once per semester with the number of counselors we currently have, case management cannot be the successful model our DI students need and deserve. With this new position, the Academic Counseling Center would be able to provide increased counseling support to student groups included in the college's student equity plan, including Black or African American students, Hispanic or Latinx students, LGBTQIA+ students, and students with disabilities. Approval of the new faculty position will mean that the Academic Counseling Center could increase participation in college-wide efforts such as the Student Equity Plan and Guided Pathways. Before we conclude, let me make one final note that is related to the data that I'm sharing in this presentation. As noted in our written proposal we submitted, the data shared was from the previous year. This is in part because as an educational support department, the data available to us from the institutional research department is different from that for academic departments, and it's very limited. In fact, for example, this year, when we put in the IR request for data for this proposal, the response we got was that the productivity analysis dashboard used to provide data for these positions is better suited for academic departments than for student service departments. And we were instructed that some other student service departments instead pull their data using a source more appropriate for their request. So the data shared today is data we have been working to collect on our own since the proposal was submitted. And we want you to know that we are working with IR to improve the data available to educational support departments in the future. In conclusion, our data illustrates that if the college is committed to providing all students a personalized, comprehensive student education plan and to strengthening counseling support for students as described in the Student Equity Plan and in the Guided Pathways framework, the college must commit to additional counseling faculty. The replacement position will help the Academic Counseling Center maintain our current levels of service. The new position will help us expand our services to our Santa Barbara City College students, specifically to disproportionately impacted student groups, with the goal of increasing student success, retention, and graduation. Thank you all for your time and consideration during this presentation, and take care.
So that concludes the academic counseling presentation, and we will now move on to our addictive disorder counseling presentation, and Gordy is here with us. Gordy, I assume you have a slideshow that you want to drive. Is that true?
I just have a couple of documents I'd like to put up.
Yeah, would you like to put them up?
Yes, I would.
Okay, great. You are requesting one replacement position, so I am going to interrupt you when you have about 2 minutes left. So that's at the 6-minute mark, so that you know how much time you have left. Sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, take it away.
Okay. I'm Gordy Coburn. I'm the chair of the Addictive Disorders Counseling Department. I am retiring, and I am the only full-time member of this department. The Addictive Disorders Counseling Department at Santa Barbara City College seeks to provide current education in the field of substance abuse, dependence, and addiction. It is designed to provide students with the theoretical and practical training necessary to develop paraprofessional expertise in the field. The goal of the ADC program is to instill in our students basic knowledge and skills in counseling, pharmacology and physiology, case management, legal and ethical issues, cultural diversity awareness, co-occurring disorders, and family issues of those afflicted with substance abuse dependence or addiction. The required fieldwork component affords students hands-on supervised experience working at facilities dedicated to the treatment of alcohol and drug dependence. The program offers a certificate of completion, associate degree, and a certificate of achievement for post-professional practice in alcohol and drug counseling for licensed clinicians and other qualified professionals seeking expertise in the field of addictions counseling. The program is designed to meet the accreditation and practical training required by the California Association for Alcohol Drug Educators, CADE, for addiction treatment counselor certification by the Addiction Counselor Certification Board of California, ACCBC. In essence, we are a graduate program in a community college. We are training our students to treat a fatal disease. We have to give them the training necessary to do so. And in my opinion and the opinion of others, this is graduate level work. I am retiring at the end of the spring semester, and when I retire, hopefully there will be a replacement so that the work that we're doing can continue. I'd like to read some student responses, comments about the ADC program. And you can see them up here. I've had an absolutely fantastic experience learning through the ADC program at Santa Barbara City College. Not only have I been able to learn to be a compassionate, effective, and empathetic counselor, I've grown personally in so many ways. The ADC program has taught me to look into my own past life experiences and grow from these experiences further, so that further than I could have ever imagined. The ADC program has taught me that in order to understand where someone is coming from, I must first understand the experiences they've lived. The ADC has taught me motivational interviewing, unconditional positive regard, active listening, and reflection, all of which have helped me immensely at my new internship at a local treatment center. I know the ADC program will continue to change students' lives for the better and teach them to help people in our community with mental health symptoms and addiction. I am a second-year student pursuing a degree in alcohol and drug counseling at Santa Barbara City College. I have chosen this degree because I want a career that will allow me to help others and make a difference in the lives of others suffering from mental illness and addictive disorders. The ADC courses have thoroughly changed my life as an individual. I grew up in an abusive, dysfunctional household, and my emotional needs were not met, affecting my relationships as a child and now as an adult. It wasn't until I started taking these classes in the ADC program that I realized exactly how dysfunctional my life as a child, living with an abusive father who was an alcoholic and a mother who was a codependent. My experience with ADC was that I was given the education and the tools that I need to do the best work I can in our community. I was taught by the best professors who wanted nothing but to see me succeed. The material and guidance that I learned in these classes has given me a roadmap that I will forever use in my future work. This program has reinforced my ability to work in a field that I love and strengthened my commitment to our community. I'm so blessed that I was given the opportunity to learn with the ADC program at Santa Barbara City College. I want to thank you here for being here when I decided to go back to school after many years. My school experience growing up was hard for me because of the large classes and they almost push you through attitude of teachers in my era. When I decided to go back to college, I wasn't sure how it would go. and I had a lot of fear around it. The first few classes, I knew I had made the right choice in the ADC curriculum. The professors and teachers have been kind, passionate, and patient through my journey at SBCC. I feel these classes in the ADC program will make me a more aware and professional provider.
Gordy, just so you know, 2 minutes.
Thank you. I'm attending the ADC classes now for my second semester. I have been a fleet mechanic for 35 years, and after losing everything in my life due to alcoholism, I moved to a sober living facility in Santa Barbara over a year ago and wanted to use my life experience to help others. The ADC program has given me the opportunity to continue in my sobriety, learn about my alcoholism and other addictions and how they affect others, and the chance to help other alcoholics, addicts through the education I am receiving through the ADC program. I don't know of any other program that I could afford while living here in Santa Barbara, while working full time and ever growing in my sobriety. I'm grateful for this program, and I've learned so much. It has helped me to understand my own addictions as well as others. I hope to continue my courses to certification so that I may help others live fuller, happier lives. As a woman who chose to stay at home when my children were young, the ADC program was life-changing. It is an incredibly valuable bridge to the workplace, a meaningful career, and a role in my community that truly makes a difference. So if you do not replace me as chair of the ADC program, the program likely will not be continued. It will probably die. And that would be a sad thing for Santa Barbara City College, but also for our community. Thank you. Is there any time for questions?
As a matter of fact, there's 17 seconds left, but we do have a shared Google form where senators are invited to put their questions in, and I will share that with you, Gordy, if there's any questions directed at you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Okay, which brings us to our last presentation for today. And as a matter of fact, our last presentation for our fall 2021 faculty proposals. So Dr. Melissa Menendez is with us. She has 12 minutes. Melissa, I will rudely interrupt you at the 10-minute mark to remind you that there's 2 minutes left. Sound good?
Thank you.
Feel free to get started when ready.
Okay. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so I'm here today to do the pitch for the English department. We are actually requesting one replacement position as well as one new position. Just to give a little context of why we're asking for 2 positions today is because in fall of 2019, we were awarded one replacement position. We went through the final round of interviews, and due to the budget constraints, we were not able to hire one of our top 3 candidates. So last year we requested one replacement position, but as we all know, with the budget deficit and near hiring freeze, only 4 faculty positions were awarded, and English was not one of those 4. So therefore this year we're asking for that replacement position of our recent retiree, David Starkey, and then a new position given the policies around how long we can ask for a replacement position. So since May of 2017, we have 10 unreplaced full-time faculty. And our latest retiree is David Starkey, who just retired in the spring. So he brought our number from 9 to 10. While much of the campus has decreased in enrollment, English has actually experienced an increase. With our English 110 sections, we were able to offer more sections this fall than we did last fall. We could not meet student demand despite the increase in sections offered. Many of our adjunct faculty are maxed out on overloads because of the decline of our full-time faculty pool. And then many of our full-time faculty do not teach overloads due to the nature of teaching composition and the workload involved in composition courses. It's irresponsible for us to do so. Therefore, we were unable to meet student demand. We had over 100% fill rate in our English 110 sections. We could have offered more sections, we could have filled more sections, but we didn't have the faculty to teach them. Same thing is true with our English 111 course, which is the second semester transfer level English course. Again, we had an increase in sections offered. We were not able to meet student demand this semester as well. And that will probably continue and persist next spring. Many of you have heard about passage of AB 705, and the passage of AB 705, the legislation was really an attempt to address the inequity in developmental education. When sort of thinking about the developmental education prior to the passage of AB 705, the idea was to really expose the complex realities of intersectionalities embodied in race, class, gender, identification, and ethnicity. So that AB 705 is an attempt to dismantle these systemic inequities. With that being said, the concept of AB 705 is to allow all incoming students eligibility for transfer level English. Prior to the passage of AB 705 at SBCC, so this is pre-2019, 73% of our incoming students placed in pre-college level reading and or pre-transfer level composition courses. And even though AB 705 passed at the college level, there has not been a systemic change within the K through 12 system. So we can safely assume that when we are teaching an English 110 course, the students who would have pre-AB 705 been placed into English 60 or English 70, English 65, English 80, English 98, or English 88 are now in English 110. So I'm just kind of giving this information just to explain that not to push a narrative that the students are deficit, but rather to point out the desperate need for English faculty to do the equity and anti-racist work in order to meet the needs of these students. And that if we're going to ensure the equity goals of AB 705, we need to have more full-time faculty in English doing that work. So AB 705, when we look at our data, it has increased access. We have increased what's called throughput, meaning more students are getting through their transfer level courses quickly because they no longer have to go through the developmental process. However, when we look at our success data disaggregated by race and ethnicity, we are not meeting our equity goals. What I did was I took snapshots in Tableau to point out for our Latino, Latinx student populations. This is the success rates since 2019 to spring 2021. And you can see in the box, because the graphs on the left are disaggregated. This is just all students. The disaggregated data by ethnicity appears on the right. So that when we look at Latino students, 57% have been successful in English 110 over the time that AB 705 has been in effect. The general, or if you look at the spring 2021 percentile, 59% out of all students are successful in English 110. When we look at English 111, again, I disaggregated it with our Latino student population. 74% have been successful. It's a better number than English 110. However, those of us who have been doing a lot of the guided pathways work and equity work understand that English 110 can be considered a gateway course, and it can be a barrier for students. If they do not pass English 110, some students may not return to college. So it's essential that we get the work done in our English 110 courses, and we need full-time faculty to do that. I also disaggregated the data for our Black African-American students. Again, looking at English 110, that rate is below, it's at 55% success. And when we look at the English 111, it's at 68%, which is also below the general average of 68%, but also our Latino student population. So the English department since 2019, since the passage of AB 705, we've been responding to it. We've also, as we all have been, responding to COVID-19. And so as the newer department chair, we started to push more equity mindset, anti-racist pedagogy and curriculum in our courses. What we've been doing as a department, we've had faculty membership in Learn. In fact, one of our faculty was one of the starters of that group and community. We've had Crossroads training. The majority of our department members participated in the campus-wide efforts. I organized a specific crosswords workshop for the faculty in English as a way for us to have a more discipline-specific workshop. English department participated in the REIA training last year, and we had more adjunct faculty participate in the equity mindset course that was offered over the summer. So we have been trying to take advantage of the trainings. English in general has had a program for 30 years that we call the Multiliteracy English for Transfer, but it only offers about 10% of our course offerings because it's a voluntary program that the instructors, the faculty participate in. And so for about 30 years, there has always been a group of us dedicated to anti-racist and multicultural pedagogy and practice, and it has been in existence for some time, but again, it's only 10% of our course offerings. We also have had the CAP program that's been led by Jody Millward, and that's a dual English and math program that is not only giving support in English and math, but also giving students support in terms of learning strategies, financial aid, scholarship opportunities, etc. But out of our REIA training, we have established an English 110 Rise section, which is geared towards students who are taking English 110 perhaps for another time, or just students who want extra support, and it has a Latinx focus in the curriculum. Also, we've collaborated with ESL, and we've been piloting an English 110 course targeting multilingual writers. So we have been making these efforts, but as you saw with the success data, we haven't been seeing the success just yet. And I think that this brings me to my next sort of talking point, which is the need for diverse faculty. You know, the EEO did a report last September in which they highlighted the percentages and they disaggregated our faculty on our campus. And if we look at this slide, basically the breakdown is there's about 215 total full-time faculty. 66 of those faculty are faculty of color, which is approximately 30% of our total full-time faculty. In the English department, we are far below that institutional average. Looking at the adjunct numbers, again, just looking at sort of the general numbers, it's about 469 total. And again, we all know those adjunct numbers fluctuate. So I'm just going to go by what is here on the scale. 114 faculty out of that 469 identify as faculty of color or other or not disclosed. So if we take that percentage, it's about 24%. Again, in the English department, our percentage is far below the institutional average. I was a member of the Senate ad hoc committee that made recommendations regarding anti-racist faculty hiring practices. And out of the research that the committee did, we recognized the need for diverse faculty and as a strong way in which to increase success numbers for disproportionately impacted student populations. Considering our goals and considering the essential nature of our English courses, in particular our English 110 course, it is imperative that we have a more diverse faculty in our English department. We need full-time faculty of color. We need full-time faculty with more training in equity and anti-racist pedagogy and how it relates to composition. We need that new 21st century lens to help us basically redesign and rethink how we teach this course and how we teach our discipline, so that our need is not just for us professionally, the need is for our students. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Melissa, I don't know if you heard the warning. It's at the time. So if you could finish up.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear the warning.
No, it's okay. I was trying not to barge in on you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, actually, this is good. I'll be quick. So again, just like the other percentages, English faculty are also, we are below the institutional average in terms of the full-time versus adjunct faculty numbers. So we are below in that statistic as well. And with the new HSI, Title V HSI 3 million grant we were just given, English will be participating as a way to try to meet 3 of the objectives, which again requires full-time faculty participation. And we also, as I put in the written narrative, we are connected to student equity plan goals, the vision goals, and our strategic goals. So just in closing, right, the recap, we have 10 full-time faculty that have retired that were never replaced. We were awarded a position in 2019 and we did not get to hire for that position. With passage of AB 705, English 110 and 111 are in more demand and we don't have the faculty to teach. We need full-time faculty to be able to do the equity work that is essential for our students. That's my pitch.
Thanks for that, Melissa. And I'm sure you heard that we have that shared Google document that senators can submit their questions for you to. And if so, I will tag you in it so that you can reply. So basically, if you don't hear from me, there weren't questions from you.
Okay,
for
thank
you.
you.
Sound good?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for that. And that concludes the fall 2020. Wait, hold on, Franny, it doesn't conclude the meeting. The presentations. So thanks to everyone for their hard work. Senators, like I said, I will, and I'm sure you already saw from last week, I'm reminding the presenters that we have we have this Google sheet. I've shared it out with you all. You'll get another email tomorrow morning reminding you about that. So as you go through your notes and the narratives and you have questions that come up, I ask that you put them in the document so that questions get asked in time. Please know that the document editing rights will be cut off next Tuesday, the day before we rank, because at that point we won't be able to get answers and have that information shared out. So sooner rather than later for your questions. I will share out the training material for how we rank. I have a little video from last year that I'll share. It's the same materials as last year for our ranking next week. And I'll share out the ranking files for you all after the Senate agenda is posted so that it's posted there publicly and then senators are getting it at the same time. And other than the ranking for next week, I want to say we have a very important meeting tomorrow. please make sure you are doing your homework and having a conversation with the faculty in your division so that we can have a really productive conversation tomorrow. If you have edits, updates, additions, requested deletions, please make them in the shared Google Doc on the current resolution so that tomorrow we can be very efficient in our conversations and work and not hopefully wordsmith by committee in real time. So with that, I thank you all for your attention, and Franny is ready to end our meeting for you all. So we will see you tomorrow at 1:30.
Bye, Franny. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.